This evening, first, election date locked in. President Irfaan Ali has announced September 1st, 2025 as the official date for Ghana's next general and regional elections. What does this mean for the political future of the country? And what are the key issues voters will be weighing? Plus, Azruddin enters the race. Controversial gold magnate Azruddin Mohamed has launched his presidential bid, promising real change despite U.S. sanctions and ongoing legal battles. Could he shake up the political status quo? Also, Commander-in-Chief rallies the ranks. President Ali visited troops in Essequibo, hailing the GDF as the heartbeat of Guyana and vowing continued support amid rising regional tensions. We take you to the front line of patriotism and national pride. Meanwhile, sinking at sea, a harrowing rescue mission unfolds after a fishing boat sinks off the Essequibo coast. Hear how the GDF and civilian vessels worked together to save 4 lives and what caused the sudden disaster. Finally, from celebration to chaos, dozens of Liverpool fans are injured during a victory parade turned nightmare in northwest England. A car plows into the crowd. Police calls it an isolated incident, but questions remain. Stay tuned, these stories and more tonight on Headline News Update. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for May 27, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, Ghana's journey towards democracy took a pivotal turn on Sunday evening as President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali announced that September 1st, 2025 would be the official date for the country's general and regional elections. The declaration, made against the backdrop of the 59th Independence Anniversary celebration at Albion Sports Complex in Berbice, sets the stage for a defining moment in the nation's political landscape, with Guyanese poised to exercise their democratic rights and determine the course of Ghana's future. The president stated that he will soon issue the formal proclamation for the dissolution of Parliament, paving the way for elections as mandated by Ghana's constitution, which requires the polls to be held within 3 months of Parliament's dissolution. Dr. Ali, seeking a second term and final term under the People's Progressive Party Civic, emphasized his administration's commitment to continued progress and national unity. He highlighted achievements in social development, infrastructure, and economic reforms during his first term, while promising more jobs, expanded healthcare, modernized education, and major infrastructure projects if re-elected. Preparations for the elections are underway by the Ghana Elections Commission amid calls from opposition parties for a cleaner voters list. However, GCOM has ruled out implementing digital biometrics verification for this election cycle. The PPPC General Secretary, Bar Jagdeo, speaking at the Independence event, stated that his party is prepared to campaign on its record of delivering on promises and plans for a brighter, more inclusive future. As Guyana prepares to head to the polls, the announcement has sparked anticipation for a highly competitive and closely watched election season. In a move set to stir the political waters, controversial city businessman Azruddin Mohamed has officially launched his campaign to contest the September 1st, 2025 general and regional elections, declaring his intention to lead Guyana with integrity and a vision of national unity. In a video message posted on his Team Mohamed's Facebook page, the U.S.-sanctioned gold dealer and billionaire announced his candidacy for president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, citing an outpouring of public demands as his motivation.
It is with great honor and humility that I officially declare my candidacy for President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana in the upcoming elections this September 1st, 2025. I remain committed to serving with diplomacy, integrity, and unfaltering dedication to the people of Guyana.
Mohamed, who was sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control for allegedly evading over $50 million in taxes on gold exports, is also facing criminal and civil proceedings locally, including charges related to a false customs declaration on a high-end Lamborghini. He is scheduled to appear in court on May 29th. Despite his legal troubles, and protests from some communities, Mohamed has called for an end to tribal voting, urging Guyanese to reject political prosecution and embrace a new inclusive vision. He promised fairness, equal treatment, and a transformation that benefits all citizens, not just the elite. A $100,000 cash grant is not a fair share for citizens of an oil-rich nation, he stated. Mohamed also welcomed the presence of international election observers from groups such as the Carter Center, the Commonwealth, and the United Nations, emphasizing the importance of impartial monitoring. His entry into the political arena has been downplayed by the ruling People's Progressive Party, with General Secretary Barry Jaglio dismissing Mohamed's potential impact on party-based supporters. As elections preparations intensifies, Mohamed's candidacy is expected to add a controversial twist to what is already shaping up to be a fiery contested race. On a different note, in a brawl that turned the iconic Square of the Revolution, Coffee Square, into a battlefield on Sunday, 4 individuals were charged when they appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Magistrate Fabio Azor earlier today. Social media personalities Rihanna Goring, known as Fata, and Bradley Sampson, known as Doggy, were charged with incitement to commit a felony. They were granted $250,000 bail and are scheduled to return to court on June 30, 2025. However, Malika Lewis, also known as Farron Dolly, and Chanel Holder, the 2 individuals involved in the brawl, were charged with public fighting and throwing missiles. They were released on $15,000 bail each and are scheduled to return to court on June 2, 2025. The Sunday brawl left a bystander shot, highlighting the dangerous nature of the altercation. Stick around when we return. Fishermen rescued after trawler Sea Knight sinks off Essequibo coast, and police seized over 4,000 grams of marijuana during Cove and John operation.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. If you have moved to a new address since you were registered, you are required to update your address by applying for a transfer to ensure your registration details are accurate. Visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to apply for a transfer. You can apply to have your address updated during this national registration exercise. You can visit the GCOM registration offices Monday to Thursday from 8 to 12 hours and 13 to 16 hours 30, and Friday from 8 to 12 hours and 13 to 15 hours 30. The offices will be closed on weekends and holidays. This registration exercise will end on May 30, 2025. For more information, contact GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
See clearly with the gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Our smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali, on Saturday morning, praised members of the Guyana Defense Force for their unwavering patriotism and dedication to national defense during a breakfast visit to the Guyana Defense Force base in Regina, Essequibo. Addressing the soldiers as champions and heartbeats of Guyana, President Ali commended their bravery, sacrifice, and resilience, emphasizing the honor associated with wearing the national uniform.
As your Commander-in-Chief, on behalf of a grateful nation, I once again salute all of you for your bravery, your sacrifice, and your unshakable commitment to nationhood.
The President assured the soldiers of the nation's full support in defending Guyana's sovereignty.
And as your Commander-in-Chief, you always will have my full support. You always will have my extraordinary love and respect, because I see firsthand, from a close-up view, what you do every single day.
The President emphasized the government's commitment to maintaining peace and security across the entire national territory, particularly in light of ongoing regional threats. He reaffirmed his respect for the armed forces and acknowledged the challenges they face while serving at the borders. Joined by Senior Minister Dr. Ashley Singh, the President also extended gratitude to the families of service members, recognizing their roles in the collective sacrifices for national security. In closing, the President vowed continued support for the GDF and a peaceful Guyana.
To all of you, we want you to know that your service is not only something personal. Your service is national. Your service is patriotic. Your service is marked with the pride of the ultimate definition of who you are as Guyanese.
In other news, 4 crew members were rescued after their fishing vessel, Sea Knight, sank off the Essequibo coast late Saturday night, thanks to a swift search and rescue operation conducted by the Guyana Defense Force Coast Guard. The Tamari Control Tower received the distress call around 5:30 a.m. on Monday. In response, the Coast Guard mobilized 2 metal shark boats under the direction of Commander David Shamshuddin, and a GDF Air Corps aircraft was deployed for aerial searches. By mid-afternoon, all 4 crew were located, one adrift 6 nautical miles from the Pomeroon River's mouth, and the remaining 3 5 nautical miles offshore from Devonshire Castle Village. The crew reported that the trawler began sinking rapidly around 8 p.m. Sunday due to a sudden leak. Upon their return to the GDF Coast Guard headquarters, the fishermen received medical care and were safely transported home. The GDF thanked civilian fishing vessels for their critical assistance during the operation. On a different note, police on Monday afternoon uncovered a major quantity of marijuana during an intelligence-led operation on the Cove and John public road, leading to the arrest of 2 men. The bust, carried out around 1 p.m. by ranks from the Cove and John police station, resulted in the seizure of close to 8 pounds of cannabis found in a black field wagon with registration number PAH 4620. The 2 suspects, a 23-year-old taxi driver from Paradise, West Coast, Berbice, and a 34-year-old construction worker from Number 9 Village, were inside the parked vehicle when police conducted the search. Officers discovered a black plastic bag in the trunk containing 3 large parcels of suspected cannabis. The suspects were cautioned, arrested, and taken into custody along with the vehicle and the narcotics. The cannabis was weighed and amounted to over 4,000 grams. The men remain detained at the Cove and John police station as investigations continue. Don't go away after the break. China invests billions into integrated transit hubs to boost global trade routes, and Maduro triumphs in Venezuelan election, boycotted by the opposition.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. see us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2025 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. How to apply for registration? You must visit the GCOM registration office that is responsible for your area of residence to apply for registration or name change or correction. You must be in possession of the following source documents as might be relevant: original birth certificate or valid Guyana passport for new registration, original marriage certificate and original birth certificate in the case of a name change by marriage, original deed poll and original birth certificate in the case of a name change by deed poll, original naturalization certificate and original birth certificate or valid passport in the case of naturalization. This registration exercise will end on May 30, 2025. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at another address since you were registered. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Jamaica's poverty rate fell to a record low of 8.2% in 2023, down from 16.7% in 2021, according to the Planning Institute of Jamaica. The data, based on the latest Jamaica Survey of Living Conditions, marks the lowest rate since 1989. Factors contributing to the decline include post-COVID economic recovery, job growth, wage increases, stronger social support programs, and steady remittance inflow to households. Venezuela's ruling Socialist Party has held a commanding majority in the National Assembly in Sunday's elections, winning nearly 83% of votes, and this is according to the Electoral Authority. The contest was marked by deep division among the parties opposed to the government of President Nicolas Maduro. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo reports.
Venezuelans headed to the polls on Sunday to elect governors and members of the National Assembly in an election the opposition called a sham. But President Nicolas Maduro said the government dismantled a network whose aim was to sabotage the elections.
We did it. We managed to hold the election without incidents and managed to defeat the violence that terrorists had prepared for the country. The violent ones, the fascists.
But members of the opposition say those detained during the government raids were human rights activists, journalists and members of the opposition, including Juan Pablo Guanipa, a close ally of opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who boycotted the elections. Machado said on Sunday the majority of the Venezuelans disobeyed the government and did not vote.
Today, the country crushed them once again. With intelligence and acting with our strategy, we revealed this great farce. People did what they feared, they massively disobeyed them. A conscientious and brave disobedience.
The government also elected a governor and 8 members of the National Assembly to represent the Essequibo region, an area Venezuela claims, but is controlled by Guyana. In the past years, Venezuela has made efforts to assert control over this oil-rich area, creating tension with its South American neighbor that considers Venezuela's claims a threat. The dispute is now before the International Court of Justice.
The election has a historical and symbolic meaning that we as Venezuelans have to applaud, because it ratifies the democratic and peaceful position of Venezuela and ratifies the historic position we have over the Essequibo.
The election allowed the ruling party to celebrate what it considers a victory. But for many in the country, it was a farce. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera.
Dozens of Liverpool football fans have been injured after a car ramming incident during a parade celebrating the team's Premier League victory. A British man has been arrested and police have described it as an isolated incident. Al Jazeera's Kali Callahan reports.
Shock and panic in Liverpool after a car ploughs into a crowd of people.
Oh my God.
Streets that were filled with tens of thousands of football fans quickly taken over by emergency services.
Sadly, 4 of the injured were children who were enjoying the day with their friends and their families. We can confirm that our teams treated 20 patients at the scene for minor injuries, and these did not need hospital treatment. 27 patients in total were taken to hospital by ambulance.
Police officers swarmed to arrest the driver, a 53-year-old man from the Liverpool area.
We believe this to be an isolated incident, and we are not currently looking for anyone else in relation to it. The incident is not being treated as terrorism.
Monday was supposed to be a day of celebrations for Liverpool and its fans, a bus-top parade after winning its 20th Premier League title. Those celebrations cut short by the horrific scenes through the city centre, despite a large police presence.
In the lead up to this event, we have been working closely with event organisers, and a robust traffic management plan was put in place for the parade, which included a number of road closures throughout the route and the city centre.
The football club has issued a statement saying our thoughts and prayers are with those who have been affected by this serious incident, one which overshadowed what should have been a safe and secure celebration. Kaylee Callahan, Al Jazeera.
As the United States and China negotiate a deal on tariffs, tensions caused by the tit-for-tat exchange have pushed China to nurture trade elsewhere. Beijing has since directed billions of dollars more into the expansion of what it calls multimodal transit hubs. Al Jazeera's Catherine Yu reports.
This is the Chongqing International Logistics Hub Park. Its southwestern location, far from the sea, hasn't stopped it from becoming one of the most important transit centers in China. Hundreds of thousands of containers pass through here annually.
Chinese products reach the world through these convenient logistics channels. High-quality international goods also come to China through here.
Goods gathered here are distributed by rail, road, and via the Yangtze River. About 20 trains depart here every day. Some head towards Russia. Others pass through Central Asia, destined for Europe. Trucks carry goods to Vietnam, Thailand, and Myanmar. Some end up at shipping ports, reaching other Asian nations by sea. Beijing's been expanding hubs like this since trade tensions began with the US during President Donald Trump's first term.
Trade with the United States may be declining, but exports to Europe, the Middle East, and Asia are rising, making inland transit hubs like this in Chongqing even more important.
Around 50,000 types of goods valued at more than $400 billion are shipped from Chongqing every year. Regional factories which produce electronic hardware and cars are major beneficiaries. Improved supply chains have helped many of these companies extend their global reach.
Increased trade with ASEAN and Europe will help make China's trade system more comprehensive and open. If China encounters a supply chain disruption or an extreme trade war, we'll be able to safeguard our economic security.
For some governments, it stoked concerns of Chinese overcapacity, surging volumes of heavily subsidized cheap goods flooding their markets. It's an accusation Beijing denies. At this port, imports from Southeast Asia, fruit in particular, exceed exports. Regardless of criticism of its trade practices, the Chinese government says it will continue to invest in better connectivity with the rest of the world. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera in Chongqing, China.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 30 weather forecast. And that's Safety V2 headline news for this Tuesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.